You rocking with your boys, all that's reserved. It's a windy day out here, so work with me. One thing I want to bring up is a question commenter that asked it. He also threw hate, but I'll speak on it anyways. I also want you to know Dom has reached out, and the thing he's talking about is something dealing with a brand and that these receipts aren't true. It's okay. You'll have your time to argue it with the person that showed me the receipts. So if this does turn out true, you will have just contradicted your entire character if this turns out to have any truth, because you're calling it fake. Because this is a receipt, it is a true post, and if you can show otherwise, or if someone else can support it, we'll ride with it. But until I see something opposing what I've received, dude, I don't think you can prove this receipt wrong. There's nothing fake about the receipt I got. So what you're saying is that it's not true that you made something and that he opposed it. So we'll discuss that. Now I want to get into it. Who knew that TxxTentacion was showing up to Riva Motorsports? Who was aware that he was going to do? Who had any knowledge of this? And that's part of what needs to be discussed. Who was the one that said, I know he's going there, so we're showing up there, or who made the comment? There's no type of evidence leading to any type of contact that we know to have been discovered. So even if you said someone gave the cue, who allowed people to show up when they were showing up with something of this nature? That's the ultimate question. Who was aware of this? You see, that's where the most important things come into play, because we don't know who's who, and we don't know who has the evidence to define what's what. But what we do know is there was a situation, and that is being addressed as such. So here's my thing. Whoever knew he was showing up to Riva Motorsports would have been implementing a setup of some sort if we're going to allege that someone was notifying other people to be there, especially the suspects. So the question isn't who knew he was showing up to Riva Motorsports more than who was in close contact with these suspects. This is a question that hasn't been answered, and it seems like a lot of the more important questions were not answered. That's what we got to keep in mind. So when you have people speak in a certain way, portraying themselves a certain way, hopping in comments a certain way, keep in mind that it could potentially be someone who made direct contact with these suspects. So what do they have to gain from the situation? How close did they have to be to understand this? These are very uncomfortable questions, even dealing with the phone. These are questions that have not been answered. So when you see people going against what it is I'm doing on the grind, keep in mind, none of them are asking these questions, including a Domislive, who may say what I've said was fake or something. He can take his time to say those things, but you can't take your time to ask relevant questions. Why? Why aren't you asking questions? Or do you care? Do you care or not? Because it seems like you're more worried about what it is that brings monetary gain than dealing with the situation. So are you saying that you haven't spoken on me or said things pertaining to me? Is this what you're saying? So what would be so fake and not hard to understand? My brand's my brand. You can't, listen, you guys have a cut and dry vision of what a brand is. That's why your media is how it is. Period. So what you defined as media, I can guarantee you most of YouTube does not define as media. They don't sit around making 4-minute videos. Everyone I rock with, they make full-on media. And you can say you're in a different bracket in terms of monetary gain off of what it is you do. But I can tell you, I'm not using anyone's intellectual property just to make do. I don't need it. I'd rather research and work hard on my own without having to cut corners like people who do what you do. So I'm sorry that you feel that way, but like I said, you can hit me up, the number, we could conversate. You could say what's fake, and then I'll jot it down what's fake. But remember, if you're going to declare something's fake and untrue, make sure that not only can you back it up, but when I pull up the person who has given the receipts, you better be ready to combat them on the receipts. You better be ready to prove it. Because I can guarantee you that I highly doubt this is fake. It was a post he made, and it wasn't generated in no type of sense to shade you more than it was to address a video you posted. And you did. Here's the first receipt. You did post this video, period. You posted a video. If you're saying he didn't feel some type of way about it, he encouraged you, let's see the message to co-sign that. Period. So I'm telling you that I address, that people are looking at, I do have a receipt for it. And I have a person that you can argue with to say the receipt's fake. Because I can tell you that I don't think it's going to be an easy argument to prove against, and I don't think you're going to stand out when you're doing it. This person has stood for something that has made sense. So in my mind, it's not going to be that easy. It's not that easy of a game for you. So I would be careful how you're telling them they're a liar for what they said. And I would be careful because this is an exact social media post. So that's what I'm saying. So what are we not understanding? We have suspects, but did we forget about the fact they needed contact in order to put something up? Did we forget about the fact that there was no way for them to know someone was showing up at a certain time unless they were given some type of notification to show up or be somewhere at a certain time? It seems to be overlooked, and it seems a lot of people are not acknowledging this to be a situation. I would agree with Riddle, whoever that is. I also want to address you that you can say someone didn't say someone's name and stuff, but I read between the lines because everybody's not built that way. Everybody's not built to speak that way. Number one, I never seen you, and I still answered your question. Number two, it doesn't hurt you put hashtag clout. Whatever you put whatever you want. It doesn't mean nothing to me. And I see you guys are young. Like you haven't did anything. You haven't spoken anything. And for you to speak up, it wouldn't mean anything. You're just young with it. So if you don't have any type of method, or you don't have any type of visualization into deeper thinking, and you're not trying to critical think, I really don't care what you think. Especially the guys not asking questions. Hey, just sitting there talking, playing an intro, like your opinion means nothing to me. It's about what's going on with the situation and getting questions answered. And you guys been antsy since the beginning, since I started. Do you think that actually bothers me? You feel some type of way about the media? When you do media using every celebrity's photo, everybody else's inner life drama, speaking about it, at least I could stick to my guns on one situation, addressing it. You guys are all over the place, talking about each and every person that you can, seeing what story's trending, breaking them up, seeing what they're saying about them, bringing it up. Like, that's what you do. And you put no effort into your media. You put no research into your media. You don't even reach out to your commenters. And if you are reaching out to the ones that are declaring death to these young men, I really want to know. No matter of fact, now I want to know that. Are you having close contact with people wishing death on these suspects? Because their families need to know. Because if one of these people by chance go to harm any of the suspects in any way, shape, or form, you're responsible. Because if you're sitting there fraternizing with them when you know their mentality is to harm the people that are being held in some type of court setting, and you're knowledgeable of it, you'll be held responsible for that. That is serious. That's the only seriousness I can pull from any type of conversation you're having. You know, guys, I got more that I want to address, more subjects. It's dependent on the weather. It's windy. You know what I mean? You won't be able to hear me as clear. But he has made contact with me. And he has said something about the key words, fake. Something about my brand. Look, listen, I built my brand how I did from the jump. I had people you're speaking of saying they're trying to reach out to me. I had someone reach out to mention a payoff to sources and people around me. Do you really want to play around? Because we could play this game. We could play this game. TheCzarr doesn't roll that way. And whoever tried to mention out to say that, why didn't you speak to me directly? What was it you were looking for? Come on, man. This wasn't just an overnight thing. We built this, we grinding up. And we had some eerie contact with people around me and me myself that they could speak on. So before you say, oh, I put my life on the line, before you bolster your brand, make sure that you can stand for it. Make sure you're a man before you ever stand and say stuff about me. Because you know what it's like. You know how hard I've been working. You know I ask very relevant questions. But that's my thing. A lot of you couldn't stand the way I stand. A lot of you couldn't speak about it how I speak about it because you're worried about what everyone else thinks. The same way why it took me to even say that stuff I did on the live to address situations. Why do I gotta hear from someone else you're talking trash? or you're mentioning things off base. And if that's fake, go ahead. We'll talk about it. But I put it out there. I don't hide nothing from my audience. I'm different. And if you ain't the same, then you ain't the same. It is what it is. You know how I rock. All rights reserved.